An Introduction to Structured Clinical Management, SCM. What was your life like before SCM?
Every day I was having to look for a reason to stay living. And when I realized that was happening, it just wasn't nice to understand that was the reality I was living.
They didn't think I was going to make it. Like, my sort of parents had already come to terms with it. And I couldn't cope with anything emotionally because of the situation I'm in, or was in. So I just kept turning to the bottom, and that is not you won't find much at the bottom of that.
Aimless, really sad, depressed, and I became suicidal after I started a new relationship following divorce, and we lost the baby, and I grieved for a very, very long time and just gave up any attempt at living whatsoever.
I didn't like to stay in one place. I would, my go-to kind of reaction would be to just run away. So I would literally just, if I was having a bad day at work, I would just, put my stuff down, walk out, and oftentimes go to the airport and get on a plane somewhere random.
It wasn't a life worth living. I was ashamed of the person I was. I had no self-worth. I felt like everyone abandoned me. I had no healthy relationships to speak of at all.
This is an informational video about structured clinical management and how it is delivered in the Avon and Wiltshire Mental Health Partnership Trust. This video may be used for informational purposes by those being offered this treatment in other areas of the UK, but please note it may be delivered slightly differently. For the purposes of the video, structured clinical management will be abbreviated to SCM. SCM is a non-diagnostic-led model of care used in secondary mental health services. It has been shown to be helpful for people who might struggle with their emotions, with relationships, or who are impulsive, which can affect their life in a negative way. People may also struggle with their sense of identity or sense of self. It is particularly helpful for people who might have been diagnosed with a personality disorder, but you do not need to have a diagnosis for SCM to help you. Is SCM right for me? SCM is structured so that people are supported to achieve goals, to improve their mental health, and live a meaningful life to them. It has an emphasis on learning skills to manage emotions and problem-solve difficult situations. SCM may be helpful if you have difficulties with managing your emotions, managing impulsivity, self-harm and suicidal thoughts, making and keeping healthy relationships, problem-solving. What can I expect from SCM? The 3 phases are the assessment phase, the stabilisation phase, and the treatment phase. In the treatment phase, most people undertaking SCM access this treatment through attending the problem-solving group. The group runs once a week for an hour and a half and consists of up to 10 people. What is the commitment needed for SCM to be successful? SCM typically lasts between 12 to 18 months, and for SCM to be successful, we ask for people to aim to attend at least 75% of their appointments. What were your concerns coming into structured clinical management?
I'd given up to such a point of I took the approach of whatever they're going to give me, I'm just going to go for it. The individual SCM practitioner relationship is fantastic, and then you get the group, which is fantastic in a different way, and they work together really, really well. I loved it. It was the best thing that's happened to me. So.
I was the same. I didn't know what it was, but as I said, I was at rock bottom, and I tried so many other different things, counselling, the medication wasn't working, so I was really grateful for it. And when I was told what diagnosis I had, I was pleased because I knew I could work towards then not having a diagnosis, and I was just so keen to start my journey to recovery. I was adamant I didn't want to live this way for the rest of my life. That was the choice I'd already made. I was either going to kill myself or I was going to get better. There was no in between.
Yeah. That's exactly how I felt. It was like, this is my last shot. Yeah. Otherwise I'm going to die. That sounds extreme, but that's how real it was.
The concerns I had going into it were, as well, it's just not going to work. I've tried so many other things, at rock bottom, and as I say to people, I just feel like checking out. I can't be here anymore. So it's like, I'm not going to go back that way, and this is the only thing in front of me. I don't have much hope or faith that this is going to work, but instead of just, sitting in darkness, I'll give it a go.
What were your initial thoughts about problem-solving group?
I really didn't want to do it. The main thing for me was this could sound awful, I didn't want to be around other people like me, because I'd had experiences in the past with people who were also, had the same diagnosis as me, and we'd fed off each other and become really dysfunctional, and it was just a horrible situation. So I was thinking, getting a bunch of people like me in a room together, what a mess. That's not going to be okay. And I couldn't have been more wrong about it. It was brilliant. Problem solving groups the best thing I've ever done. And I can't believe how wrong my initial thoughts were.
I was quite afraid of the commitment, I would say, because for me it was 9 months the process was. And going into it as well, it's again, I'm not wanting to be around, I don't like to bring myself around other people. So it's I wouldn't want to be in a group of that. But at the same time, in my desperation, it's I need to take this opportunity. It might not ever come around again. So I knew I had to show up and give it a go for myself.
I was very apprehensive. I was worried that, you'd be in a group and you'd be doing group work and people wouldn't be pulling their weight. And I was still so desperate to get better that, I just wanted more one-to-ones really, because they were just invaluable to me. But my care coordinator, said it was the right thing to do. And by this point, I trusted her with my life. So I went along apprehensively, but yeah, it was the best thing I did. Being around like-minded people when you felt so lonely your whole life, it was amazing, absolutely amazing.
How did you find problem-solving group?
10 minutes into the first session, I thought it was fantastic, and again, I just dived straight into it. Just people introducing themselves, and I started to recognise myself in other people in different bits. There was one person who was clearly demonstrating all the anger that I felt. There was another person who was so incredibly isolated that I could resonate with that. There was somebody else who was so chaotic I could pick up bits from that just from talking to them, and I would thoroughly recommend it. Yeah. It's I've nothing bad to say about it at all.
Yeah, it kind of taught me to be a person again. That sounds a bit wishy-washy, but I wasn't functioning as a healthy adult before, and the course just kind of got me back on track.
What was really valuable is that everyone was so different, and it didn't matter that you had a different background to someone, you were a different sex, different gender, different race. None of that mattered. That you, like you said, you could see bits of yourself in everyone else.
Oh, definitely. It's about that connection and being able to like you say, we're all different, but also we have this thing that's the same, and we can all kind of relate to each other.
It was such a safe space. I think you feel so judgmental about yourself, but actually when you turn up, you realise that no one's judging you. The only person in that room judging you is yourself.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be in such a safe space where you can talk openly with a larger group of people rather than just your one-to-one.
What was your relationship like with your SCM practitioner or care coordinator?
Amazing. I say she saved my life, but really it was me who saved my life. But she was with me every step of the way. She held me accountable for my actions in a way that no one had ever done before. She treated me like an adult, not a patient, in a way that no one had ever done before. And she stuck by me through my whole journey, and I felt like she really cared. She really understood, and she validated so much of what I'd gone through, and no one had done that before, and it was amazing.
I kind of feel on a similar level, to be honest. It's we've kind of had a rocky relationship, I guess, because I wasn't the easiest of people to deal with at the start. But she's probably my favourite person on the planet. She's my hero. Definitely saved my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't her. I don't want to get too emotional because she's amazing.
They never made me feel shameful or guilty about anything I said or, what I might have shared and how I felt about it. They just remind me like, that's what happened. But, you're not stuck there, you're not defined by that, we can move forward.
Did you have any disagreements or any conflicts with your SEM practitioner or care coordinator?
I didn't have any issues or any conflicts, but we didn't agree on everything. But interestingly, in the past where I would avoid disagreeing or conflict, it was like, despite having our differing opinions, we can actually have healthy discussion about them. And in some regards, it was good because the opinions that I might have been carrying might not have been healthy for me. So when they would challenge me, I'm seeing it in a new light and I'm like, whoa, that's actually not okay.
I wasn't necessarily in the best place or necessarily in the right place when I very first came into the service. I was desperate for help, and I wanted to do anything I could to get the help. And so I tried to engage with the service, but realistically I wasn't actually ready. I was still addicted to alcohol, very much alcohol dependent, all day, every day. I just wasn't functioning right. I was in and out of hospital. And then it came to a time when I spoke to my care coordinator and we had a very frank discussion. And she basically told me that I wasn't ready for the help. I had to work on my substance abuse issues to a degree where I could actually focus on what was going on with my emotional intensity. But I, looking back now, I absolutely agree with Amy, and I'm glad she did it, because I wasn't ready, and it wouldn't have gone in, and it wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't be here now. If I hadn't have had therapeutic discharge, I would not have got through course. She made it very easy for me, but that's what the service does, I guess.
How does this differ from any therapeutic relationship you've had in the past?
I would say, and this will sound strange, but when I've seen, say, counsellors in the past, they've almost been too emotionally invested in me, and that is not good for me. This is not good. I don't want to be crying with therapists. So the way there's more of a clinical approach here, that very much suits my situation.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's like that clinicalness and the structure and boundaries. I just think when you've got like emotional intensity, you need something that's almost like not emotional.
Yeah.
And because I never got on at all with any other kind of therapy at all. So to then come into this and it's so different, it just clicked. It just worked so much better.
Yeah, I should point out that I was so jaded by the time I got here that I was just like, none of this is going to work. But then they basically opened my eyes and started changing my life, really.
That's how you felt, Martin, wasn't it? That's how you felt. You'd seen all the types of therapy.
I had, but they'd always, like, had a goal, which is previous. Again, what was different was previously this was about getting back to being a working, tax-paying citizen like everybody else. SCM and the care coordinator work was about making my life better. Didn't matter. I didn't have anything to aim for apart from getting better.
Structured clinical management was very much, they take you how you are and they give you tips and some tools as to how you might cope with things better, and that was far more productive to me than any counselling session that I've ever been in.
What would you like to share with those considering SCM?
I've thought a lot about how to answer this question.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Right, here's the thing. You're not going to come out of it skipping and there's all rainbows and loveliness. But now you'll have a few more ideas about why it felt as bad as it did and why it happened and how you responded and what you can do about it to extract yourself from it becoming an issue that a year ago would have made you homeless or would have ruined your relationship or would have got you sacked. We keep talking about tools. You come out with a box of tools and you've got to keep practicing, you've got to keep going back to them. You've got to keep working. It's just a starting point.
Yeah, you've got to put in the work, and you've got to still keep putting in the work even after you've left. But it's just so worth it. And like going into it, it feels really scary and really big, but you just got to do it.
I would just recommend that you just fully apply yourself, throw yourself into it, because the more you put in, the more you'll get out. And there's actually nothing to lose, and there's only everything that you might want to gain. And it's probably the greatest investment that I've made in my life.
I'd say take the opportunity you've been given, because you are worthy of doing it. And I know when you're first offered it, you may not feel that worth, and you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but take it from all of us. You deserve to be here, and the rewards are just amazing.
Like Martin said, I mean, I've thought about this question in particular more than any other, because I know how I'm not the kind of person who's going to give you like singing, dancing, this is amazing. I'm just not that guy. But with this, I would implore people to at least try. I agree with everything that these guys have said in that you have to keep working on it. It's not you're not going to go through group and then be magically everything's great now. That's in the past. You do very much have to keep working on yourself. But it's about enablement and empowerment of each individual person. Before this, I thought all this stuff was nonsense and like basically mumbo jumbo. My mind has been completely changed, and I'm not just saying that. It gave me my life back, so I can't be any more grateful.
It gave me a life worth living.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't have to put all my energy into this like surviving moment to moment. I can actually like live a good life now. It's like it's created that emotional room to let love in, to let like goals in, to like have good things for myself.
There's hope.
So much hope.
Yeah,
So much hope.
What is your life like following SCM?
Life is worth living, and I find meaning in the small things. I find purpose in everything that I do. My connections and my relationships are so much healthier. I know what I want out of life now, and I know what I have to offer, and that's something that I couldn't say in the past.
So before, I basically didn't want to be here. Now, I have hope. I can see beauty in the world. I can smile at things. I don't want to die anymore, to put it in the most blunt form. Now, I feel like I'm worthwhile. I feel like I can contribute, at least to some degree. It's like having a second go, basically. And I can only be grateful for that.
Trying to live. I am living rather than just, again, surviving or waiting for death. My whole life is in front of me now. I never felt like that before. I'm grateful. I work hard at working on finding things to be grateful for. But I've got lots to do still. There's lots I have started to think that I want to do with my life that I never would have thought of before. I have moments of excitement about that. I feel weird saying that, but my best days are ahead of me.
It's like a lot better. I'd say there's been a massive improvement. So I have a stable home where I've been living for the last 2 years, and I don't drink anymore. I've been sober now for 6 months, and equally I haven't self-harmed for 6 months. And then that's something that just, if you'd have told me a few years ago, like that just wouldn't have felt possible to me. I'm doing my PhD. I haven't walked out of it and not come back. I think that's the thing, just life's a lot more stable now, and that's really good.
I'm happy. I'm controlled. I have the most amazing relationships with people who I choose to let into my life. And I'm proud of who I am today, which I never thought I'd be able to say. Basically, I've just gained a sense of worth, a sense of respect for myself, and I'm excited about life. I'm busy, I'm happy. I have so much going for me, and I think one of the greatest things of all is that I'm now employed in North Somerset as the peer support worker for the complex emotional needs team. So now I get to work every day with service users who are like myself, and I can help them on their recovery by being their beacon of hope and showing them that life is worth living, that they are worthy of this treatment and they're worthy of a fulfilled, happy life. And I can't think of anything greater than being able to give back to the service that saved me.